The carnivore diet is just too restrictive. Let's talk about that a little bit today. Hello everyone, Semi-Retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. If you're new to the channel, welcome, I'm glad you're here. What you're watching is you're watching me walk. I know that doesn't seem really exciting, but if you consider just under 3 years ago I couldn't do this, I could barely stand for a couple of minutes without severe pain, it starts to get a bit more interesting. If you're returning to the channel, welcome back. It means a lot to me that you spend just a few moments of your day with me. I would like to ask everyone to help me out just a little bit. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Drop down in the comments and say, "Hi, Bob." And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. All these things are absolutely free and help me get the word out that it's never too late to change your life. I am 61 years old and I'm doing things I couldn't do when I was 40, like out here walking every day. For those of you that watch me on a pretty regular basis, you'll notice that I'm not moving quite as fast as I normally do out here on my walk. It's been a rough few days. It started off with Easter. I didn't know I was falling off the wagon. I don't know what was in it. My neighbor brought me over some deviled eggs because they had too many, and they know, because we talk out in the yard and stuff all the time, they know I only basically eat meat and eggs and that kind of stuff. So they brought me over a small plate, had 6 deviled egg halves on it, and they looked pretty good, so I ate them. I don't know what was in them, but I woke up Monday morning and I hurt. It was not a good day. Then today is Wednesday. You guys are going to see this on Thursday, but I was getting ready to go to dance class yesterday, and I thought, well, I need to clean the bathroom just a little bit before I go. That's something quick and easy. So I sprayed my stuff down and mopped the floor, but there's a little spot behind the toilet that I can't get to with the mop handle because it just doesn't bend that way. So I brace myself on the toilet and lean over and reach around and get that little spot. I mean, it's only like a little 4-inch by 4-inch square behind the toilet that I have to do by hand. And I must have twisted wrong or something, because I went to get up and my back was on fire. It was a muscle rather than a joint, because it was off to the side in one of those small muscles that runs down your back. But I went off to dance class anyway. Had to cut that just a little bit short because it was really starting to hurt. But it's better this morning. That's why I'm not doing a big walk today. I'm going to wait till I get to the top of this hill, that first big hill that I start off with, and see if I think I can make it around the big block today one time. I know I'm walking a little more stooped over than normal, but you know, it's what I always talk about with being careful not to injure yourself. And if you are a little injured, be careful not to push too hard, because that can make things go even worse. Let me see here. Oh, I'm at the top of that hill. Yeah, let's give it a try. my back doesn't feel any worse than it did. But anyway, let's get on into today's topic. The carnivore diet is too restrictive. That's what they say. Variety is the spice of life. You gotta have lots of different foods and colors on your plate to make life interesting. Well, I'm not going to be able to agree with that. And yes, if you're like me and all you're eating is basically ground beef, salt and water, with the occasional roast thrown in, the occasional chicken thrown in, yes, it can get boring to some people that aren't used to it, or restrictive. But you want to know what really is restrictive? Being in so much pain that you can barely stand for a couple minutes without sitting back down to take a break. Your life is restricted when you have to plan your day around how many trips up and down the steps you can make. You know, once in a while, if I went upstairs to go to the kitchen and forgot something I needed, it could be a couple hours before I was ready to tackle the stairs again. Now I just pop up the stairs, back down the stairs, and boom, there we go. What's really restrictive is spending all of your free time at a doctor's office or at the drugstore because you have 3 or 4 different doctors between your regular doctor, your cardiologist, your pain management guy, your endocrinologist. And between all of them, they've, given you enough drugs that you're taking 13 drugs in the morning and 9 at night, plus pain pills throughout the day just to get through the day. That's a pretty restrictive way to live. Not knowing if the next time you get a sore on your foot is the time they're going to have to cut that foot off. And then when they cut that foot off, that seems a bit more restrictive than having to stick to a carnivore diet. Fatty liver. When your liver eventually fails, that seems fairly restrictive. Chronic kidney disease that continues to get worse and worse and worse. Eventually, you're going to end up in dialysis. Having to spend 2, 3, or even 4 days out of your week getting a ride to the dialysis clinic because you're not allowed to drive anymore. That seems fairly restrictive. Or slowly losing your eyesight because of type 2 diabetes. Or any other number of conditions that can cause your sight to fade. Not being able to see what you're doing. That seems pretty restrictive. And if you have any hobbies, like I know many of the older people that watch my channel, they like to knit or crochet. I know one does needlepoint still. all that kind of stuff. But whatever your hobby is, it could be building model airplanes or whatever. Letting the arthritis in your hands get so bad that you can't do your hobbies anymore. That seems like a fairly restrictive way to live. And while at first the carnivore diet may seem restrictive, as you get further into this journey, you will discover that the carnivore diet is not restrictive at all. It is the most freeing, the most life-liberating diet, way of eating, way of life that you could possibly have. It is fantastic. This was kind of a short topic because normally I keep talking till I'm down around the corner past the halfway point, but I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do this. But I have to say, the healing power of carnivore, as bad, it was definitely a muscle in my back, and as bad as it was, just standing up or sitting down or turning or just basic movement, it really hurt. And today, I can tell it's still there. It's not healed all the way yet. But considering how bad it felt when I went to bed last night, it's pretty amazing how good it feels today. And that's why I'm not even going to go on down across to the park. I'm just going to turn at my usual old spot to make this little 1.5 mile loop and call it done for the day, because I don't want to push too hard. That's why I'm walking kind of slow, but I feel like I'm going to get around the block with no trouble at all. Maybe I'll keep walking. We'll just have to wait and see. Probably not, though, because I don't want to accidentally overdo it and then get set back again. I will have a few more thoughts on this when I get back up to the house. But for now, let's go ahead and have a little music. Yes, people say the carnivore diet is restrictive, but they watch people like me, where my diet is very narrow and focused. I basically have ground beef, salt, and water. Eggs when they're not too expensive. But there are so many foods you can have on a carnivore diet. Beef is not the only ruminant animal. There's bison, elk, deer. If you live in the part of the world where camels are eaten, camel is a ruminant. There's a lot of different ruminant animals out there. But you can also have chicken, fish, any other kind of poultry, not just chicken. Duck. Look at Rick, he eats a lot of duck. Iguanas. There's lots of different foods you can have. Eggs. I guess I better wait, because she's just going to keep backing out of her driveway without paying any attention to people that are walking. Go ahead, I'll go around the front. I find it amusing that people wait till they're over the sidewalk to stop and look to see if anybody's walking up the street. But anyway, I mean, seafood, eggs, chicken eggs, duck eggs. There's lots of different eggs out there. I'm sure I've forgotten some things, but there are so many different foods you can have. You don't have to do it the way I do it. Do it however suits you best. You know, even bologna and hot dogs and sausages, while not the very best, nothing wrong with it either. Are they as good as grass-fed, grass-finished beef? Well, no, but they are still better than everything else. So whatever keeps you on your journey, that's what you should have. I actually made it. That's right at 1.5 miles, which isn't bad considering how bad I felt yesterday. That's all the farther I'm going to go today, but hopefully tomorrow I feel up to putting on the backpack and getting another big mileage day in tomorrow. Hopefully some of what I said today made sense, because the food you're eating is a lot less restrictive when you realize all of the things that eating properly helps you with. Carnivore gave me back my life, and I can't stand here and say it's going to do the same thing for you, but I can say if you do this, you will improve in some way. That's what I've got for you today, folks. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, and every day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next one.